The year is 3824 AD, and the 17th galaxy has been colonized. You live on one of the trillion of its constituent planets, which has already been occupied for 10 years. You are a part of the medical division of the planet, which makes sure that all diseases and disorders have been treated. Your occupation is that of a manager that proposes new ideas to solve medical problems and fit the solutions into the behemoth intergalactic health network. On the planet, there is abundant oxygen to sustain the humans that live there, that is, until one day, the oxygen levels start to quickly deplete and people start suffocating. The IHN has to retrieve and provide oxygen to your planet, and doing so takes several days. The population greatly dwindles as millions were not able to get oxygen in time. Those who survived did so because they were near the only backup source of oxygen on the planet. This tragic event will be remembered for centuries in intergalactic history. 2 weeks after the oxygen disappeared, it returned just as abruptly. After this disastrous event, which would be known as the depletion, many scientists set out to figure out the cause of the drastic change in oxygen levels. Nevertheless, after one full month, nobody has been able to say for sure. Regardless of the cause of the problem, somebody needs to make sure that the population is ready for another event of the same nature. The medical division calls upon you to be this someone. Ideally, this problem could be averted simply by storing enough oxygen in facilities on the planet. Unfortunately, the budget of the planet's government is too small to buy any oxygen to sustain the population for more than a day. The IHN will not let your planet keep unused oxygen for free, since it could be useful instead for conquests on planets without oxygen altogether. The only way for the people of this world to get free oxygen is to declare an emergency to the network. That means that you will need to predict when another depletion happens ahead of time, and you decided to do it with informatics. The definition of informatics is not a concrete one, for it has changed over time, originating in the 1960s to refer to information processing in computers. It has expanded to mean many different things. Informatics can be thought of as the aid of technology to read, write, and process information to help people. When applied to the medical sector, informatics is known as biomedical informatics, or BMI, of which there are many divisions. Bioinformatics looks at the data of the cell and molecule biology, while clinical informatics focuses on the treatment of individuals. In this case, you will need to use public health informatics because the patients of the depletion are the collective population of the planet. Computers can assist with the retrieval and processing of data in several ways. The most fundamental one is electronic health records, or EHRs, where instead of having data stored in papers inside cabinets, it is stored as bytes on drives. Health Information Exchanges, or HIEs, enable medical records to be sent across businesses and healthcare divisions, and in this case, across all of the IHN. EHRs and HIEs make up the oldest definition of biomedical informatics, making information management easier by storing data on computers. By 3824, electronic records have become a well-grounded practice that would be blasphemy to defy. After all, why go try to find a paper in a folder when you could just type a name into the search bar? In order to predict the depletion of oxygen levels on your planet before they even happen, you decide to use machine learning. What if there were signs of the depletion before its occurrence in the medical condition of the population? You organize a team of programmers to write a computer program that sifts through the electronic records before the event. It'll look for any widespread abnormalities that get larger as the date of the depletion approaches. Throughout history, most informatics, such as the management of medical records, have been a very easy task. However, the fields connected to informatics have grown as computers have become more prevalent. Biomedical informatics can use more complex methods such as data science and machine learning, as long as the processing of the data helps the population in some way. In order for the program to work, it'll have to understand clinical data or observations on patients. Each unit of data, or a datum, consists of the patient's name, the name of a specific characteristic of that patient, known as an attribute, the value of that attribute, and the time the attribute was observed. Each time an observation is made, it is entered as an electronic datum into a patient's permanently stored medical record. Your program will need to sift through numbers, text, and pictures, and possibly form a neural network of the most common and uncommon data, then look for an increase in a specific condition over time. Since individuals do not matter in this case, the patient's name will not need to be scanned by the program, but the attribute names and values will be very important, and all records will need to be looked through in chronological order. There are millions of people inhabiting the planet, so the program may have to sift through billions of entries, which could take a great amount of time. Finally, one day later, you and your team get a result. The program found out that many patients were getting throat irritation as early as 2 days before the depletion. Although you cannot figure out the cause of this irritation, it does not matter since this anomaly occurred before the depletion, then disappeared when it ended, so it can very easily be tracked. Your team of programmers is tasked to modify the program to check for new clinical data and see if throat irritation becomes too common a problem too abruptly. If it does, it will automatically notify your planet's medical division that a new depletion could be coming, and it will also signal an emergency to the intergalactic health network. It turns out that over the next millennium, the program will predict nearly every single depletion correctly, the oxygen will be brought over in time, and countless lives will be saved. You will become one of the most famous doctors known to humanity because several more planets have been found to have similar depletions, and trillions of lives will be saved using your team's program to retrieve oxygen. Although the story that was just told took place in a distant future, informatics in 2022 already plays a critical role in healthcare. The first programs applied to healthcare were created in the 1960s with informaticians such as Robert Ledley, Lee Lusted, and Homer Warner using mathematical modeling and probability in order to make computers mimic human expertise. The first electronic health record systems, such as CoStar and HELP, were created in the 1970s and 1980s to make management of data easier. Decades later, the field of informatics has already come a long way, with fields such as data science and machine learning being expanded to help patients. The healthcare professionals of today require knowledge of informatics so they can help contribute to the system of electronic health, and they learn the skill from medical schools such as Indiana University. Many devices you use on a daily basis, such as your smartwatch or your phone, track many things about you, such as your heart rate and screen time. The contact tracing of COVID-19 was shown to be possible 2 years ago and was part of a network of devices that figured out who had the virus and who was in contact with them. The system was a great use of the informatics field in our modern day, and many more systems exist like this in society, making sure that the population is in their best health.